Alright, so we are back at it today. We already got this guy put back on and it works great now. That toothpick trick really worked really well. It seems like it's holding just fine, if not better than just wood. So yeah, we got to wire up the sink and everything. Somebody told me in a message or a comment or something that we should plug the other hole because we only have water coming from one end, meaning from the cold and not the hot. So I got a little brass plug. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know where it went. I got a little brass plug to put in here to fill that in. And for the water pump, I just cut the hose that came with this thing and just press fitted it onto this pump and used a little hose clamp there to tighten it down. So we got to mount this. I might end up shortening it once we figure out where we're going to mount it and everything. Okay, so now we're installing these door handles. They have two screws that are exactly 3 inches apart. That is very nice that they're exactly 3 inches. So to get them in the same position on each cabinet so that it looks really good and uniform, I got this little piece of scrap plywood and measured out exactly the dimensions of where we want it. I was only able to do the first hole because it's not long enough, but that's okay. We'll just use the same template and move it down and move the hole exactly 3 inches from the top one. So I'm just going around and drilling these out. Had I had a longer piece of plywood that was perfectly square, and knowing that these are as perfectly square as I can get, this just makes it so much easier. It's much better than guessing and trying to measure everything out and then leave like Sharpie marks and stuff everywhere. So I just hold it up. Wait, is there a cabinet behind this? Make sure there's nothing behind it you're gonna drill into. Alright, so these look great. On this garage floor, these are not opening very well, and I don't know if it's because they're on the paper down here or what the deal is. So we're gonna put this in the van, and we're gonna put this one in the van first. It's done anyway, so we're just gonna put it in, and then we're not gonna like fix it in right now. We're gonna by the end of the day though. And hopefully we'll get done with this one enough where we can bolt it into the van as well. But we want to see how these cabinet doors open and stuff before we get much farther. If we need to sand them down so that they'll open easier and then repaint them, we want to do that. The bottom's not painted yet anyway, so we got to paint that. Alright, so here's the outside. It turns out we're not going to be able to swap these from the outside, but we'll still be able to do it from the inside. And this still opens just fine. This is really tight clearance right here, but it opens all the way, so we'll be good still. And then check this out. Pull this out, the shower off. It's awesome. Oh, it hit the back of the water jug. Alright, so the test fit went really well. Now I'm going to use the razor blade here to clean up all the extra silicone around here. If you lay it like as flat as possible, it won't scratch the surface and it'll get that stuff right off. So I'm going to clean all that up and clean out the plumber's putty on the drain area. And then I'm going to get to plumbing and wiring. Alright, so that was pretty meticulous work, but it looks a lot better now. There's still some pieces on here, but they'll come off as we you know, wipe this thing down and clean it. They'll eventually come off. It looks a million times better than it did though. So Evie's out here working on the templates for the door panel covers for the doors, and then we're going to build a little table for the back. But while she's doing that, I am going to figure out where I'm going to put the pump and figure out where I'm going to connect all my wires. Oh, I also got to put that plug in here. Maybe I'll do that before I put in the pump. And last night I put in the trap that I got online for this thing, and that it was a little bit loose, so I put plumber's putty in it. I don't think it would have leaked because the water goes below the threaded part. But I put some plumber's putty on there anyway and tightened it down pretty good. So that's in place. It's nice to have a trap so we won't have to smell that nasty water. Links for almost all of this stuff, affiliate links, are in the description if you guys want to check it out yourselves. So yeah, I'm going to put in this plug and then figure out where to mount this pump. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I showed you this little plug earlier that I got from the Lowe's Penis that goes into the hot water part so that the water doesn't come out because there's going to be nothing going to that. So I'm going to use some of this Teflon tape. There's plenty of names for this, plumber's tape. I don't know, you can call this whatever you want. I'm just going to take a little bit of this and put it around the threads. And a couple little wraps should be all it takes. and then put this in real quick, and then yeah, I guess the next step is mounting the pump. Okay, so this is set in place. It's got these nice rubber feet, so it'll vibrate. I cut this tube to fit, and I just cut it with scissors, and actually the metal around the outside was really easy to cut with scissors. It was not with tin snips or these guys, but with scissors it was super easy. So I got that in place, and I put the hose clamp here on that side, and then I put one on this side with proper size tubing, which is, what is it, 3/8? Yeah, 3/8 inner diameter. And then I put a hose clamp on that, which didn't really need one, but I put one on anyway. And so now I'm gonna cut this tube to length to fit the bottom of this this water container, which is gonna be our freshwater one. So I'll just cut it to length down to, down to right there. And then I'll show you what I'm gonna do to put it in here. I'm not just gonna remove the lid. Let me show you this. Okay, so here's the idea with the lid for this thing. I drilled 2 holes in it, just a tiny bit smaller than the outer diameter of this hose, which happens to be 1/2 inch. And I got one of these guys, which is a one-way valve, so it'll let air in. As the water's being pulled out, air needs to come in to replace it, otherwise it's gonna create a suction. It's gonna be really hard for the pump, and over time it'll probably break it. But water can't get out. So that way when we go around corners and water's slashed around, water's not gonna spill everywhere. So these hoses are wedged in here pretty good. There might be a little bit of water coming out, but I don't think it'll be too bad. And if it is, we'll come up with another solution. But basically I just cut a little piece of hose, put this valve on here, and then this is gonna be where the hose goes. And it's a little hard to pull out, so it's a pretty good fit where the hose to the pump goes. So this will work great for this, and then I'll do just the exact same thing for the other one, for the gray tank. And in that one, I'm gonna leave this in place so that when we go to pour it out, if we're like out camping or something, we can just pour it. We can use this in place of the top to pour it out a little easier. All right, so here's what it looks like. This is the fresh water side, and this is the gray water. Now I misspoke. The hose that came with this, which I really don't like because it's very cheap plastic feeling stuff. I might actually go to Lowe's or Tina's or Home Depot and get some clear stuff like this so I can see what's in there. I can see how nasty it's getting. One, stuff will build up in there, and I don't like that. Even though there is a trap, I really don't like that. And I misspoke by saying I was gonna put one of these breather valves in this one. I think it's better to have this one completely sealed, because the air bubbles coming, like once it fills up with water and the air needs to escape, it can come up this tube and up through the trap, up through the water in the trap, and come out the sink. I don't think there's any reason to put a breather on this one. Plus, there's not room. I'd have to drill into the actual water container itself and not just the lid, and I'm afraid I might ruin it doing that. So I'm gonna try sealing this thing up, and it theoretically, to me, it seems like that should have worked fine. So yeah, I think we might get some clear tubing for this to do it that way. Yeah. Okay, so for actually wiring the pump up, I ended up putting silicone all around this thing on the top and bottom to seal it in. If my theory works, it should work great. If it doesn't, then it's not going to. And I think we're just gonna hold on to this hose until it starts to stink real bad. When it starts to stink and it smells like there's mold growing in there or some kind of jungle life or something, then we'll replace it. But for now, we're just gonna stick with it. It's already here, it's easy, it's done. And I am gonna put a couple high-strength zip ties around it up at this point. So for actually wiring the pump, I'm gonna wait until we put it in the van, and I'm gonna wire it through this switch. Somebody was super smart or experienced on one of my videos and commented that this thing is going to drive me nuts because it's constantly going to be going. I was going to put a switch on it anyway for troubleshooting, but it makes sense to only turn it on when you know you want to use it, so that's not making noise and using electricity as the pressure slightly drops and everything. So we have these switches, and we're going to put them in the van. So I'm just gonna wire this thing when we fully mount it, and I'm gonna mount this switch up right here. I'm probably gonna have to put some wood or something in here to actually mount it, but it literally fits perfectly inside of this little channel, or almost perfectly. So we're gonna do that, and we'll use the other switch for some lights or something. I don't know what we'll do yet. And yeah, that's gonna be sweet. So we're gonna hard mount that other panel in there because we're done with that one now. And I think we're gonna cut out the Luan to cover these door panels. Evie's been working really hard on the templates for these things. So I think we might cut those out and then hard mount that one in and figure, oh yeah, we gotta do the straps. I forgot about that. We gotta do the straps for the, to hold the bottles in, the water containers. So we cut these pieces of wood perfectly to hold these in this way, but they can still go like this and move around, and I don't like that at all. So let's see, what did I do with that? Anyway, I got a tie down strap and I'm gonna cut some holes. Oh, here it is. I got this ratcheting tie down strap. So we'll cut some holes and be able to feed this through the handles of this thing and cinch it down a little bit, and that will hold them in place and they won't be going anywhere, and that'll be awesome and easy to remove too. All right, so sorry this has been more of a what we're doing than a how-to we're doing. I kind of got bored with those videos, to be honest with you, but I want to show you a couple more things we've done. Check this out. We got, oh, it goes this way, I already forgot. Down here, look at how much space we have. Look at how much space we have here. Then we'll come around to this side. Look at this. So we put this little drawer in here for silverware, and it's plastic, so it's really easy to keep clean and pull out and clean if we need. And then we still got a bunch of storage on top and on the side and everything. And this is where our stovetop will go. And down here, we got a pull-out garbage can. Check that out. It's sweet, huh? Personally, I think it's a little over the top and unnecessary. We could have easily just set a garbage can in there and put a little lip on it or something so it would stay in place, or just use bags like I've done in the past. But it's pretty cool and it makes it feel really homely. So check this out. This is the coolest part. Whoa! Look at that. Running water. It's so cool. It works. It does not leak anywhere. It's working great. It is a little loud. It is definitely a little loud, but I think it's bearable. And we are definitely going to put a switch in there so when we're not planning on using it, like when we're done with dinner or something, we just turn the switch off and there's no power to go into that thing. Also, if something happens, if there is a leak and we need to turn it off immediately because water's going everywhere, we could just hit the switch and turn it off and slow down any problems we might have. So water does pool up a little bit down here, but I think as we drive and you know, the van tilts a little bit, I think it'll go down the drain. I don't mind a little bit of extra. It was $5 for the salad bowl, and it would have been at least, I think, 50 or 60 bucks for a proper sink. So I'm okay with that for the money savings. And oh, one more thing, we decided to leave this open because there's going to be a bunch of water down here and there's just dampness. I want this to breathe as much as possible. I want plenty of airflow, and the only time we're going to see that is when we open the second side door. So I'm not worried about that at all. So tomorrow we're going to go and throw this in the van and get it wired up properly and hard mount the other cabinet, get the fridge in there, and we're going to cut out the door panels for going on here on the two back doors and the two side doors. And that is pretty much it. You got anything to say, Evie?
I can't wait to get on the road and be done with this. Yeah,
right. I'm so tired of building. You want to try that?
Yeah. Is it plugged in?
Try it out. Yeah, it's plugged in. It's ready to go. Woo!
Nice.
That's the first time she's ever used it. I do wish that we would have placed our sink back this way a little bit. It does splatter a little bit on the sink, but it's no big deal. We'll have a towel up here that we can just wipe it off with. We should be wiping this down every time we use it to keep it clean anyway. Yeah. So thanks for watching, guys. Love yourself. I'll see you next time.